Recording. Here we go. So this was part of your favorite subject's homework. Hey, so twice a number equals 37 more than twice an. Okay, so I gotta find some room to this. Well, let me see if I can do it over here. So twice a number. So twice a number is 2 times the number is equal to 35 more than 7 times that number. So here's your equation. Okay, this one's not that difficult. So go through your list, right? So ask yourself if you have to do any distributive property. In this case, if there are no parentheses, so you don't have to worry about that. But there are variables on both sides, so one of them you have to get rid of them. One of them you have to get rid of. So let's get rid of, I'd say, in this case, let's get rid of the 7n. Let's get rid of that. So if I do that, I have to do minus 7n. Minus 7n. And over here, I'm going to get these two will be out. 35 comes down. 2 minus 7n is negative 5n. Okay. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. These two will become positive n, and 35 divided by negative 5 is negative 7. So the answer to the first one is negative 7. 2, 42. If a number that I know is multiplied by 7, so I'm going to write that as 7n, the result it's equal to the same the result is the same as 25 is added to twice the number. Didn't I just do this? So again, this is almost the same thing as the previous one, right? So let's get rid of one at the ends. Let's get rid of the 2n. So I'm going to do minus 2n. Remember, there's a reason why I put this line here, so that I know that I have to subtract 2n from this side, and I have to subtract 2n from the other side. So these two become 0, so they go away, and 25 comes down, equals, and 7n minus 2n is just 5n. So if I divide both sides by 5 now, my variable gets isolated, and n equals 5. 43, if twice a number, so 2n, is subtracted from 132, the result equals 4 times the number. Now, especially when it's subtraction, I want you to stop and just ask yourself if you're done, because if the word is subtracted from or less than, you have to make a couple of changes, right? So in this case, we do have to switch this order here. 132 will come to the front, minus 2n comes to the back. So this is the equation, okay? Now I can start solving it. I will do minus 132. And then I'm going to do, no, sorry, I'm not going to do that. I have variables on both. I don't have distributive property. I have variables on both sides. So let me take care of this variable right here. So I'm going to do minus 4n on that side. And I'm going to do minus 4n on this side. 4n minus 4n is 0. 2n minus 4n is 6n. And 132 comes down as it is. I will now, if you do your story, you're going to find out that you have to do minus 132 on this side and minus 132 on the other side. And 132 minus 133 is 0. Minus 6n comes down, equals to 0 minus 132 is negative 132. Divide this by 6, negative 6, I'm sorry. Divide this by negative 6. Negative 6 simplify to 1, and I get n equals positive something, which looks like it's going to be 22. 44, if 3, you know what, I can, now if 3 is added to 5 times the number, that's what it should look like, the result is going to equal 15, the result is the same when 15 is added to twice the number. So as you can tell, these becomes equations with variables on both sides, right? So again, I have to get rid of one of them, pick whichever one you want. I'm going to pick to get rid of the 2n, so minus 2n on this side and minus 2n on this side. This goes out. I'm going to be left with 15 on that side. 3 comes down, and 5n minus 2n is positive to the n. That's a two-step equation. Minus 3 on this side, minus 3 on this side. Cross out, I get 3n equals 15 minus 3 is 12. Divide both sides by 3. And n equals 4. And that one was not that bad. 45, 4 times a number is decreased by 9. The result is the same as 3 times that number is decreased by 1. Okay, so again, variables on both sides. Which one we're doing now? Let's get rid of the 3n, which is on one side of the equation, right? So I have variables on both sides, so one of them is going to go. So minus 3n here, minus 3n here. This becomes 0, so I'm left with negative 1. 4n minus 3n is just n minus 9, so now it becomes super easy. Plus 9 over here, plus 9 on the other side of the equation. Minus 9 and plus 9 becomes 0, and I'm left with n, and negative 1 plus 9 is positive 8. 46. We should have more room. 46. So if 3 times a number, if 3 times a number is increased by 5, the result is the same as 77 decreased by 9 times the number. Get rid of one of the variables because there are variables on both sides. So either the 3n or the 9n will go. So let's get rid of, I don't know, let's get rid of the 9n just for its change. So plus 9n on this side, plus 9n on this side, right? So here's my equation with the left side on the right side. 9n plus 9, negative 9n plus 9n will disappear. The 77 comes down, and 3n plus 9n becomes 12n. And the 5 plus 5. If you make a story, you know you're going to be doing minus 5 on both sides first. 77 minus 5 is 72. This goes out. I am left with 12n. The second thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 12. And n is going to equal 6. 47. If 5 times a number is increased by 50, right? The result is the same as 200 decreased, which is minus the number. So that's my equation. Again, no distributive property, but just equations with variables on both sides. So let's do that. So let's get rid of this n, because there's variables on both sides. Let's get rid of this n. So minus n, opposite is plus n, so I'm going to do plus n on this side. These two will disappear. 200. 5n plus n is 6n, bring down to plus 50. I'm going to do minus 50 here and minus 50 here. And 200 minus 50 is 150. 50 minus 50 is 0. 6n comes down. Divide both sides by 6. N equals 30. 150 divided by 6 is 30. What was that? Number 47. So number 48. If 10 times a certain number, 10n, is increased plus by 4, the result, or equals, 12 more than 9 times the number. Okay, so by now it should become very repetitive. So again, variables on both sides, one of them have to go. Let's get rid of the 9n. So I'm going to do it's plus 9n, so I have to do minus 9n. Minus 9n on this side. So these two will eliminate each other. The 12 will come down. 10n minus 9n is just n plus 4. So now it's a super easy one-step equation. Minus 4 on each side. And we get our variable isolated. And n equals 12 minus 4, which is 8. (49) 3 times a number is increased by 22. The result is 14 less than 7 times the number. So I guess the first thing you want to do is write out your equation. And then, because we had a subtraction here, just stop and ask yourself if you have to switch things over or not. And in this case, we do, because the word was less than. So I have 3n plus 22 And the less than is going to make me switch the position of these two terms, right? So 7n is going to come first. Minus 14 goes to the back. Pick a variable, either 3n or 7n. One of them have to go. So I'm going to actually get rid of the 3n on top. So I'm going to do minus 3n on this side. And again, let me make that line here. And I'm going to do minus 3n on this side. 3n minus 3n is 0, so that goes. 22 comes down. 7n minus 3n is 4n minus 14. I need to, now if you do your story, you have a variable n, which is being multiplied by 4, subtract 14. And the opposite of subtract 14 is adding 14. So I'm going to add 14 on that side and 14 on this side. Minus 14 and plus 14 goes out. 4n comes down. 22 plus 14 is 36. Divide both sides by 4. And n equals 36 divided by 4 is 9. Right? That was that. It's not that difficult at all. Right? And you're supposed to do, I think, the first 5 or something. So here, the difference between this one and the previous one is that we have to identify the numbers first. Okay, so the larger of two numbers is 5 more than the smaller. So if there are two numbers, and it's telling me just by reading this, I know that there is a small number and a large number. So we're talking about two numbers. One is small and the other one is large. I know that the large one is 5 more than the smaller. Well, do I even know what the smaller one is? So let's just call the smaller one, I don't know, x. I know that the large one is going to be whatever the small one is plus 5. So the large one is going to be labeled as x plus 5. So there are my two numbers. One is x and the other one is x plus 5. Now I'm going to take that information and set up my equation. So the next sentence says a smaller number, x, plus twice the larger, so 2 times the large number, which is x plus 5 in parentheses. And that's going to equal 100. So there's my equation, which if I didn't have this set up, would not be able to set it up. So combine like term, distributed property, yes, so I got to take care of that. So x plus 2 times x is 2x, positive. Positive 2 times positive 5 is 10, so that gets 10 equals 100. Next thing I do is combine like terms. I can combine 2x and 3x, and that gives me 3x plus 10 equals 100. Now it's a two-step equation. Make your story. If you make your story, you're going to do that minus 10 on this side, minus 10 on that side. These go out. I'm left with 3x equals 90. Divide this by 3. Divide this by 3. And x equals 30. So it says find the number. So I know if my small number is 30, it means that my large number is 30 plus 5, which is 35. 34. One number is 2 less than the other one. So again, we have a small number and a large number. So one number is 2 less than the other. So definitely, if x is the large number, the other number is 2 less. So we're going to call the small number 2 less. Whatever x is going to be 2x. Okay, right? So that's the relationship, or that's the setup that you needed to do. Now you can set up the equation and start here. 4 times the large number. So 4 times the large numbers is x. Is subtracted from, which is minus 5 times the smaller one, which we label as x minus 2. The result is 10. Again, because the sentence here had the word subtracted, I just want to make sure that I don't have to switch anything, and the word is subtracted from, so I do need to switch. So the 5x minus 2 will come to the front, and minus 4x is going to go to the back. If I do distributive property, I have to do distributive property, so I'm going to get 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. Minus 4x equals 10. Distributive property done. Combine like terms. Yes, I do. 5x minus 4x is just x. Minus 10 equals 10, right? So I combine this guy over here with this guy over here. 5x minus 4x is x. Minus 10 equals 10. I add, now I can do plus 10 over here. plus 10 over here, right, on both sides. So minus 10 and plus 10 is just 0. X equals 20. So if my large number is 20, my small number is going to be 20 minus 2, which is 18. Next one. Give me a second. So again, it says that the larger of two numbers is 20 more than the small one. So we have two numbers, a small number and a large number that we're talking about. And it says that the larger number is 20 more than the smaller one. Well, let's call the small number A. It means that the smaller one is going to be whatever A is plus 20. Yeah? So we identify our small and large number. Now we can, set up the equation. So 4 times the large number, which is A plus 20, and so we put it in parentheses, is 70 more, which is plus, than 5 times the smaller. And there's our equation. So we get 4A, distributive property, they're all positive. And 4 times 20 is 80, equals 70 plus 5A. We can get rid of one of the variables. Let's get rid of the 4A. So minus 4A on this side, minus 4A on this side. Let me divide this in half. These two go out. I'm left with 80. And then I have 70 plus, and 5A minus 4A is just A. I'm going to do minus 70 on this side, minus 70 on this side. These two will go out, and left with my variable isolated, and 80 minus 70 is 10. So I know my small number equals 10, so my large number is going to be 10 plus 20, which is going to give me 30. So to open on both sides, release seasoning. No. Okay, forget it. If 14 is added to a certain number, let's call that number, and the sum is multiplied by 2. So if I add these two, and whatever sum I get, I multiply by 2, the result is going to equal 8 times the number decreased by 14. Find that number. So the key thing here was this part right here. 14 added to a certain number, 14 plus n, which is going to give me something, right? A sum. Take that sum and multiply it by 2. Okay, so key here was putting that in parentheses. And then, now, distributive property, yes, so 2 times 14 is 28. 2 times n is going to be plus 2n, equals 8n minus 14. Let's get rid of one of the variables. In this case, let's just get rid of this 2n. So subtract 2n over here, minus 2n over here. So these 2n goes out. 28 is left over on the left side, and 8n minus 2n is 6n minus 14. Now it becomes a nice little story, which says that I'm going to first add 14 here, add 14 here. These two go bye-bye, 6n comes down, 28 plus 14 is 42, divide by 6, n equals 7. N equals 7. 37 is a little bit tricky, actually. So, sorry. So the difference between two numbers is 24. So, think about what that means. So we have two numbers, right? So let's call them first number, second number, right? So the difference between them is 24. So one of them, if we call one of the numbers x, right? The other number is going to be 24 minus x. So let me try to give you an example. So let's pick two people, John and Mary. They're creative. And I'll tell you that the difference between their ages is 10. Okay? That's the difference between John and Mary. So John being the older person. So if I told you John was 40 years old, right? How old would Mary be? Mary would be 40 minus 10, and she would be 30. Okay? And which means I made this mistake here. Right? So using that example, I can set up this one. So if the difference between two numbers is 24, if one number is x, the other one has to be x minus 24, just like I did over here. And let me do this again. So if John, the difference between John and Mary is, I don't know, let's make it 15 years this time. 15 years, and John being the older person. So if John is 20 years old, how much would Mary be? Well, the difference is 15 years. Then Mary would be 20, whatever John is, minus 15, which would make Mary 5 years old. Likewise, I use that scenario to set up my number. So if there's two numbers and one of them is x, the other one, and the difference between those two numbers is 24, and if one of them is x, the other number is going to be x minus 24. So I have my two numbers identified, and I want to write, I can write that, find the numbers if their sum is 88. So if I know that if I take the first number, add to the second number, and I'll put that in parentheses, I'm going to get that it's 88. I can apply the distributive property, pretend there's a little 1 over there. I'm going to get x. And if there's a little 1 over there, 1 times x is just x. And the positive times the negative is going to be negative 24, 88. I get combined like terms, 2x minus 24 equals 88. I can do now plus 24 here, plus 24 over here. These two go bye-bye. 2x comes down. 88 plus 24 is 12. 112. Divide both sides by 2. And x equals, I have no idea, 61? No, 56. So if I know that x equals 56, which means one number is 56, and the other one is going to be 56 minus 24, which is going to be 34. Okay, so it makes sense. Look, there are two people. One of them is 56 years old. The other one is 32 years old. So I can say there's two people. If the first person is 56, and the other one, the difference between them is 24. The other person must be 32. Okay, a little tricky, but still think very manageable for you guys to do. Okay.